Two amazing stories during the weekend. One, changes in the S&P 500 where CRH, Carvana, and Comfort Systems are being included, and the other one, Netflix buys Warner Brothers Discovery. Let's start with the Carvana and the crazy, amazing story. Carvana, as of December 2022, was on the verge of bankruptcy. Then they did a lot of changes in the company, changed their financial model, changed their financial debt, a lot of things. And now, after being trading at $3.5 per share, are trading at $400 per share. That's 11,000% gain and inclusion in the S&P 500. One of the biggest Cinderella stories that happened in the stock market. And of course, everyone now is looking for their 100 baggers. The other story is Netflix is going to buy, or at least for now, is going to buy Warner Brothers Discovery for a $72 billion deal. This, of course, I'm putting it with a grain of salt. And why? Because Paramount Skydance is also... Actually, they're the one that started this whole sales process. They were the one that were supposed to acquire Warner Brothers, but then Netflix came from left wing. They might, Paramount might offer a hostile takeover. It's going to be very interesting in that front. But yes, currently, this is one of the biggest deals since COVID. So hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, hello, my name is Micah, and on this channel, we talk about stocks, we talk about companies, we talk about news, and nothing here is financial advice, only education and entertainment purpose only. Here we go. This is how the major averages ended the week, with the Nasdaq up almost 1%, Russell up 0.81, the Dow up 0.5%, and the S&P up 0.36. As you can see, the RSP, the equal weighted S&P 500, is up 0.25, which means that the Nasdaq was the one pushing the market up. And who in the Nasdaq? You can see Oracle up 7%, Tesla up 5%, and Meta up 4%. We're going to talk about Meta in a few minutes, and also Oracle. And this is a very important week for Oracle because on Wednesday, they're reporting their earnings. On the flip side, we get Broadcom, who is the biggest winner of all the TPU, GPU, CPU war. They went down 3% for the weekend, and Microsoft down 1.8%. When you look at the sectors themselves, you can see technology up 2.4% and energy up 1.5%. On the flip side, you get utilities and healthcare down between 4 to 2%. Here we go with crypto, recovering a bit. Ethereum up 9%, Bitcoin up 3.7%. Still not the recovery that everyone is hoping for. And when we look at commodities, natural gas up almost 9% for the weekend, crude oil up 2.6%, with silver up 1.6%, gold losing 1%, but still at very high territories. When we look at the fear and greed, we're currently at fear, not at extreme fear like we were. We're at fear, and that, of course, brings us to the news of the week. So we talked about the inclusion in the S&P 500, and the exclusion is for LKQ, Solicit Advanced Materials, and Mohawk Industries. Now let's talk about initial jobless claims. They're actually 191 versus 219 that were expected. This isn't a bad reading, but it's not a good reading. The labor market is a bit problematic now, whether it's AI, whether it's businesses, whether it's small businesses. It's problematic. And Core PCE comes okay, not higher than expected, not lower than expected, actually on target. Puts it at 2.8, or actually the Core PCE puts it at 2.8. This is a bit higher than the Fed expects, but it opens the door for a rate cut that will probably happen on Wednesday. When we look at strategists, they're updating their 2026 models, with all of them being bullish currently, between Bank of America that says 7,300 to Deutsche Bank that says 8,000, all this for the S&P 500. But this is not something you can go to the bank with. As we all know, even in 2022, they were positive. Even in 2020, they were positive. They're always positive because it makes sense to be positive, because more years the market drifts up than it goes down. Raytown announces a strategic partnership with Amazon AWS. Waymo, Google's Waymo, started working with Houston on actually operating autonomous taxis in Houston. Trump approves tiny cars. Not really clear what the incentive there is, but he approves that. Salesforce is considering changing their name from Salesforce to Agentforce. Maybe they're not only focused on sales, but also on the agents themselves. Meta has got to an agreement with publishers from USA Today, People, CNN, Fox, The Daily Caller, Washington Examiner, and Le Monde, so they can train their AI and also use that training. And that is very important, because otherwise they Some might say they're stealing the data. Eli Lilly is reducing the cost for their GLP-1 drug. And AWS creates a frontier agent, a new class of AI agent that works for days and days. Doesn't go to sleep. It's an agent. Why would it go to sleep? They also present Titanium 3, their Ultra server, another chip that is supposed to take some of the load off NVIDIA. Some might say this is a competitor to NVIDIA, which it's not really. It's just taking a load off when there's a lot of demand for NVIDIA chips right now. Politico says that after the AI push that came from the Trump administration to a point where Trump wants to launch Trump AI or Truth AI, they're now focused more on robots and companies around the robotic transformation. Uber launches a robotaxi service in Dallas called AV or from AV Ride. This is an NBIS company. Archer plans to launch electric air taxi in South Florida, linking Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton, and West Palm Beach. Would be very interesting. Zim integrated shipping is in a battle between the CEO who wants to make it private out of his bid to other companies, other shipping companies that want to take it private. If you're not aware of the situation in Zim, they currently have between $22 to $25 per share in cash. They're trading at around 20, which means that they're trading basically on their cash, which makes it a very appealing offer to take it private. Amazon this week thinks of stop using USPS in 2026. This is about $6 billion annual revenue that USPS gets, and also doing same-day ultra-fast deliveries in the US at least. Palantir, Nvidia, and Centerpoint Energy are launching Chain Reaction, a coordinated AI for utilities, data centers, and builders around AI power demand. This might push more and more companies using Palantir's AI capabilities and, of course, Nvidia chips. Target tests a new model for next-day delivery. And I'm here to tell Target, listen, it works. There's nothing to test. I can even tell you more than that. Amazon today has same-day delivery, which means that there's no reason to use Target if we can use Amazon. I don't get the people in Target. Why are they trying to do something that's already working for a year? But never mind. Maybe try something unique that might push your stock a bit higher. Meta plans to cut about 30% of their investment in the metaverse. Investors love it. Suki doesn't, but investors love it very much. And Jensen Huang, as Nvidia CEO, was in the Hill this week trying to convince lawmakers to let him sell chips to China. Some of them want to block it, of course. And Lisa Su, his cousin, also says that AMD is ready to pay 15% fee to ship AI chips to China. And last but not least, Code Red has been declared in OpenAI after Gemini eats all their lunch. And more and more people are using Gemini versus using OpenAI, which was up until a few weeks ago, the leader in this market. Let's talk about next week, and all eyes would be on Wednesday. Not because, or maybe because Oracle and Adobe and Synopsys are reporting in Oracle, everyone's going to look at what's happening with the financials of the company, because the CDS is currently the insurance on the credits are so high, which means that people are very worried. Thursday, we're going to get Broadcom and Lululemon and Costco. But Wednesday, we're going to get PCI, which we hadn't got last month. And we're going to get a rate cut, probably 25 basis points, unless the Fed will surprise us. And Thursday, we're going to get PPI. Very, very interesting. Not sure when our live streams are going to be this week. So if we're at that point, and if you got all the way here, you can subscribe to the channel, of course. 11.5K subscribers can subscribe and turn notification on, and then you'll be notified every time we have a live stream. Last but not least, let's look at the S&P 500, which ended the week, or actually got to the highest point on Friday, 0.3% from the all-time high. We didn't break all-time high, but we were this close. 4 consecutive days of buying. You can see Friday even high volume with a candle that might represent a change in direction or maybe a correction where we have a gap around 67.70. I'm okay with the market closing that gap before Wednesday and then off to the races. I'm okay with that. But you should be aware of 67. If we keep going down, 66. And all-time high is 62.20. Hope you enjoyed this quick weekly summary. I'm Micah Stock saying bye-bye.